Welcome to another episode of Studio 209. I'm Krista Messer. Today marks the 13th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. We got the opportunity to sit down with Tim Guarino of the Turlock Gospel Mission as he shared his experience at Ground Zero, where he served as a chaplain. Take a seat and enjoy the show.
Hello, my name is Tim Guarino. I'm the Executive Director of the Turlock Gospel Mission. I was actually in my home in Alabama, and then I drove up to New York because I was asked to come up there to help in counseling, and I was sent to a fire station on West 14th Street. Was there about 20 minutes prior to an official from the fire department coming and talking with me, and I spent time praying with him and his wife and his other firemen, and then he turned to me and said, Pastor Tim, would you want to get down to Ground Zero? Within a few minutes, an ambulance came and picked me up, and I got in the back of an ambulance and started to drive down the West Side Highway. At the time, driving down there, people were all over the place. Chaos was taking place. At the Burger King wall, at the time that I was there, on the wall there, the family members that were lost, they were drawing these pictures. And they would put these pictures of these crayon pictures of these kids asking the firemen and the policemen to rescue their parents. And I had this one police commander come up to me. He said, Chaplain, I have this lady on the phone with her daughter. Can you talk to her? And the officer had a tear come down his eye, so I took his cell phone. I said hello, and this little girl on the phone answered and said, are you the chaplain? And I said, yes. And she said, can you pray to God and ask God to bring my daddy home? And I'll never forget, I said to her, well, I'll pray that these guys can do all they can to get your father home. But just understand, I said, you know, God's taking care of him right now. And she said, I'll never forget. She said, my dad and I this morning, on the way to school, before he took me to school and he went to work, we got in an argument because I didn't have all my things together. And the last words that my father said to me were in anger. And I want to let my daddy know that I'm sorry and that I love him. No way I should have ever been down there. It was a God thing, something I was not prepared to ever do in my life. Death was all around us. When I was down there, about 125 body parts were found at that time I was there. I don't know if you guys remember when they were sticking the microphones down into the pile, and they would have a time of silence so they could, if they could hear somebody banging or yelling. And I'll never forget, the time was late at night, and they dropped these microphones down into these holes that they dug into the pile, trying to see if they could still hear people. And you have several thousands of people down there in the pile, rescue workers trying to do stuff. You got the cranes chipping away, knocking out the concrete and steel, and everything goes silent. I mean, everything. I think even the insects went silent, and there's this eerie silence as we waited to hear just one little noise of distress or one little noise of somebody saying help, and everybody just in unison was silent. And after that, nothing happened, and one of the fire battalion chiefs turned to me and said, hey, Chaplain, come on over here and pray with us. My guys need some hope. My guys need some encouragement. And I came over, and there was just 3 or 4 of us. We started to pray, and before I knew it, there was dozens of firemen around us in a circle, and kind of like a football huddle, and it just was amazing how we just stood together and prayed, and this eeriness of silence and togetherness and bonding, and these kind of things happen throughout the whole time. If you were there, it was a very tense moment. A lot of stories, a lot of relationships, a lot of good things happened that day. One of the things I'll never forget is that ordinary people that day were the heroes. I'm not a hero. I'm not doing this interview as a hero. I'm doing this interview so you can remember that the heroes who actually gave their lives that day, the heroes who went up those buildings when the buildings were falling, the heroes that stayed there and fought and dug and even died afterwards from all the different illnesses that was received from staying there and trying to get their fellow workers out of the pile. I just was blessed to be there to tell the story of people, regular people. These people you'll never see in Hollywood. These people you'll never see asking for any rewards or anything like that. These people to this day stay silent behind the scenes, remembering their loved ones that they lost, remembering those who served. These people were phenomenal.